Alright everybody, it's time to ask the biggest question of the week. Did One Piece chapter 1120 have good paneling? Yeah. But we aren't interested in simple answers like that here. It's not about assigning labels of good paneling and bad paneling to each manga and arguing about them in the comments. No, we're here to break it down, analyze it, and learn what we can about how paneling works. Because manga is an awesome medium, so let's get right into it. There's something I think should be appreciated more about One Piece's fights, and it's how much positions matter. It's not just about what attacks are used, but where people are, and the layout of the battlefield. Sunny has to fly off the labostratum to reach the sea. Venusjuro is literally in the way, and has to be physically pushed aside for them to do it. The goal is to get somewhere, not to beat someone in a fight, which is something I think a lot of other action manga are missing. It all works because the positions are shown clearly from the start, which is also done in the second action sequence of the chapter. There, from right to left, we have the Gorosei, Emet, and the Giants' ship. Last chapter, Luffy was in the middle as the defender, but we show him stepping back and tagging Emet in through positions, as Luffy goes from its right to its left, on the ship's side. Because Emet fails to defend against Jupiter, Saturn has the opportunity to jump past and reach the ship. The physical side ties into the story beat of an unexpected threat after they thought they were safe, which might sound simple because it is. These things should be easy to grasp, and they can tie into the overall plot and setting, not just the action. The crew on the Sunny's escape has been built up for chapters and ties into the shape of Egghead as an island, and it leaves them landing on top of the battle, which the final page expresses by putting their panel literally above the panels of the fight. There are war arcs in manga where I can barely follow who is where on the battlefield, and I'm not even sure the author knows. This leads to battles that are just a muddle of random 1v1s without a sense of structure, instead of interesting, unique situations. Being a battle shonen, a genre built on 1v1 fights, doesn't mean you can't also explore situations where characters have to put their powers, skills, and mindsets toward other goals. And you find those situations by making the environment matter. Marineford worked so well as a massive war because everyone had the goal of reaching Ace, and Ace was a high-up landmark we could see from anywhere on the battlefield. Now it's time to talk about some of the more standout pages in the chapter. Let's start with Atlas attacking Venusjuro. I like the curve she flies in. It's an interesting path for the eye to follow, sets up the bigger curve we'll see on the next page, and leads the eye up to the next panel. There, the two close-ups show us how the characters feel, which in the middle of the action is more important than ever. From there, the eye is led by Venusjuro's blade down toward Atlas's severed arm. The implication of what happened can evoke a greater feeling than seeing it directly, by making us ask the question of what just happened outside of the shot. The next panel answers it, but raises another. It's inconclusive. She's made it in, but what is she doing? Should we feel sad that her arm is gone when we can't see the expression on her face? Raising and answering questions is how a story keeps you engaged. Next page, we resolve the ambiguity from not seeing her face by seeing that she's still resolute, which is setting up the sacrifice she's ready to make later in the chapter. Meanwhile, her hair leads the eye down, and Venusjuro's body leads us toward the curve. I love this curve, and not just because it's a fun path for the eye to follow, but because it cleverly transitions a left motion into a right motion. Atlas is flying leftward, toward Venusjuro, and Sunny is about to fly leftward, past Venusjuro. Come the launch panel, that wouldn't quite work. Venusjuro should be knocked out of the way, not in the same direction as Sunny. If they were going in the same direction, it would just be harder to interpret what the image means. Well, as you can see in the panel, we use the rightward diagonal for Atlas and Venusjuro. That sends them out of Sunny's way, and we even use Sunny's yard, yes, I looked up what that part of the ship is called, to draw the eye that way. The problem would be that Atlas was flying left before. Flipping them to go right now would lose that consistency and make it more confusing, and making Atlas go right beforehand would go against the way the eye reads, and the positions that were set up with Venusjuro on the left. And that's why this curve is so clever. It starts left and takes us right, so it's consistent with the direction before and after. It's why every part of this sequence can flow in the direction it should. I think this is one of the cleverest moments in the chapter, but there is a ton of cool paneling that I don't have time to talk about in this video, so this is the part of the video where I'd normally tell you to do the Patreon or the channel membership to see my full thoughts on the paneling of the rest of the chapter. Normally, I said. Because today, I'm putting out that post for free. Follow the link below, or go to patreon.com/werb to see my full analysis of everything I couldn't fit here. No need to pay or even have an account. There's enough cool stuff in this chapter that I want to share my thoughts with everyone. But I'm not going to do this often, so if you like it and you want to see these posts for every chapter, then you know what to do. With that out of the way, let's talk about Emet, the Iron Giant, fighting the Gorosei. And to start that, let's talk about its character design. It's been around for a while, but we've only just gotten to see its personality, and thus been able to see how well its design fits it. The roundness and bottom-heavy thickness of its body convey weight, sturdiness, and strength, but without aggression. Compared to how pointy and sharp most of the Gorosei are, Emet doesn't feel like its main purpose is to attack. But it's not incapable either. The thick gauntlets imply it can hit hard, and there is a bit of sharpness in the horn, but a horn being missing expresses how this is an old, broken machine. The bendable arms and 5 fingers show it's meant to be adaptable. It can fight, but it's not a weapon. It's humanoid in terms of having 4 limbs and a head, but it couldn't be mistaken for a human, with the rivets all over it, the regular indentations in its belly, and the rings around it. It was built to do things like a human can, but not built to mimic humanity. And it has eyes, the window into the soul. This is something we're meant to empathize with, in spite of its metal body. We're on its side as we see it challenge the Gorosei, David against Goliath in spite of its heft. This panel is raw. Sometimes you just get that feeling from how it shows something that's really cool, and also from there being a sense of depth between the foreground and background. The two combatants align with the rule of thirds, and there's a subtle triangular composition. The triangle is tilted, making the situation feel unstable, like there's something to be resolved. The panel is showing us things to set up the next page. Emet's stance is stable, as it'll be off balance in a moment. Jupiter's teeth are bared toward the camera, as he's about to take a bite, but he's still angled just slightly to the left to make it clear that they're focused on each other. There's a diagonal line of conflict between them, reinforced by their close-ups lower down. This is the line along which they fight. And as we turn the page, despite the camera now being over Jupiter's shoulder... Wait. Worms don't have shoulders. You know what I mean. The conflict is still along that line. This panel has a double circular composition, but one circle is bigger, and the other one is shaped like there's a bite taken out of it.
Yeah! Shaped like there's a bite taken out of it.
Yeah, shaped like there's a bite taken out of it.
The curve of the bite-shaped indentation is aligned with the larger circle's curve. Jupiter winning this bout is literally baked into the composition, which is why he was framed on the right, the eye moving with his attack, as he was the one with the more agency in this clash. In spite of the damage, Emet stands strong, as we see on the final page. I find this panel evocative, and I think it comes from the pose. Emet is not aggressive, not like Valkyrie or Jupiter leaning in, trying to invade its space. It stands simply, just as it entered this fight walking forward slowly. You feel from its pose that it acts out of duty, not a desire to hurt others, nor a fear of what they might do to it. It's level-headed in a way only a robot can be, caring for its duty but not harm to its body, as it tries to do what's right. That's why we root for it. What was your favorite panel of the chapter? Let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe while you're at it. I'm not sure it's possible for you to have missed it, since I don't think anybody skips the content of the video to get to the outro, but reminder, the full paneling analysis of the chapter is a click away in the description for free. If you want your name on the screen like all of these folks though, you still have to pay.